I'm James Eisenkraft. I'm a professor of anesthesiology at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York. I think my interest in medicine really came from my father, who was ill a lot of the time. I grew up in London, and he was in and out of the hospital with various peptic ulcers, things that wouldn't require surgery nowadays. And I sort of became very impressed by our family physician, who interestingly went on to come to the States and become an anesthesiologist, but that had nothing to do with my choice of career. But I really felt that the physician who took care of us and our family was doing a wonderful job, and I really felt like I wanted to do the same kind of thing. Well, in connection with equipment, I'm kind of fascinated by how the components of the traditional anesthesia machine are being replaced by more modern things, just like in a motor car, with the old distributor and what do you call it, points being replaced by electronic ignition systems. And no more carburetors, but we have fuel injection. So I'm kind of interested in the way that these new technologies are finding their way into the care of the patient and the anesthesia delivery system, and how much more they can do for us, not to mention the fact that we can now record everything electronically. Well, I got into the book, I think, because our chairman at Mount Sinai, more recent one, was Dr. Kaplan. He got me involved in speaking at review courses, and I was giving lectures on equipment, and they seemed to be pretty well received, so I thought I would like to do a book on equipment, but it seemed rather a big task to do on one's own. And through meeting Paul Barish, who was well known from his book, he introduced me to Jan Ehrenworth. He said, I have a friend who is interested in doing the same thing as you. Maybe you can get together and do it. And actually it worked very well. We had a great time putting the first edition of the book together. We were obsessive about everything that was in it, but we wanted to present it in the same way that we taught the subject. So, we know how to teach certain things to certain people. So really this is putting our lectures, talks, whatever, and condensing it into chapters that we hope will be readable. We're not engineers, we're not computer scientists, but we're basically clinical anesthesiologists with this interest, so that by keeping a clinical focus, we hope to make these potentially boring subjects interesting. So anyway, the first book, I think the first edition took a couple of years of work, and it's kind of hard in a subject like that to find people who are experts in all these different areas, and then once you found them, to persuade them to write chapters. But anyway, we were lucky at that time. This was like the early 1990s, when time was less of a problem, where we could get some non-clinical time. Now it's much more difficult to get non-clinical time, so it's taken us almost 20 years to come up with this second edition. And also we're fortunate that we met James Berry, who, through the board exam actually, who's been very helpful in bringing in certain areas that we had difficulty covering. I think all practitioners of anesthesiology, certainly residents, nurse anesthetists, anesthesia assistants, attending anesthesiologists, people preparing for exams, I think it's really designed for everybody who practices anesthesia. And also there are certain sections that may be helpful to people who are just interested in basic monitoring, because we felt that we should include the basic ASA monitors in the book on equipment, because there is a certain amount of overlap.